Hello, everyone. My name is Deacon Dario Rinaldi. I'm one of the seminarians on the road to priesthood. And I wanted to take an opportunity to give a little video reflection about this coming weekend where we celebrate All Saints' Day. All Saints' Day is a great time of joy for the Church. It is a remembrance of all the saints throughout the history of the Church, known and unknown. And it's a very interesting distinction. See, when a lot of people think of All Saints' Day, we remember the saints that most of us are familiar with. St. Damien, St. Marianne, Saints Peter and Paul and Andrew and James and John, and all the people that knew Jesus, and all the martyrs throughout the years, and all the people that we know who are in heaven. But that's only part of today. All Saints' Day is, of course, about all the saints, and that includes the ones that we don't know about. See, we only know a handful of people who are in heaven, but there are multitudes more up there, and each and every one of them, by definition, is a saint. See, when we think of sainthood, the first thing that probably comes to mind is heroes of the Catholic Church. People, men and women throughout the centuries who did extraordinary things, whether it be founding a religious community or dedicating their lives to service of their fellow human being, or preaching the gospel to nations, or staying true to the faith even when it meant death. Now, these are the heroes among the saints, but they're not all the saints. See, a saint, by definition, is just a resident of heaven, someone who made it, someone who God accepted into his kingdom and is now with him up there forever in eternal glory and joy. That's really it. Everyone who is in heaven is a saint, because sainthood is simply to be in heaven. To be a saint is to be in heaven. That's all. And so while we do know many famous saints, we don't know that many non-famous saints. People who might not have dedicated their lives to serving patients on a leper colony, or preaching the word to different nations, or living lives of absolute poverty. But simply they lived lives that were in accord with what God desires for us. They were holy, simple. They followed the word of God and the teachings of Christ. They were good to each other. They prayed often and daily, making God a part of their everyday. They made use of confession and the sacraments. They went to Mass and were good people, so that when their earthly life was over, God let them into heaven straight away. All of these people are saints, and they're the ones who we remember today especially. St. Damien and St. Marianne, St. Peter and St. Paul, they all have their feast days. But what about the saints that don't have feast days? The hidden saints. Today is their feast day. Today is the day where we are mindful of them, and the fact that they, like the saints we know of, are up there in heaven with God, speaking with him on our behalf. Today is a day where we keep in mind all the many people up in heaven who are praying for us. And that means that today is especially a good day to offer prayers to the many saints, to help us with our struggles and our shortcomings, to help us be better Christians, to help us be better people. And they're up there waiting to hear us ask these things of them, for us to ask them to go before God and intercede for us. Ask God's help on our behalf. Saints are great people who are willing to help us from heaven above, so we make use of them. The other part of today's specific focus, keeping in mind the fact that there are many saints that didn't necessarily live heroic lives so much as they just lived holy lives, it reminds us that we are also called to be saints. Each and every one of us, by the fact that we are baptized, we're called to be saints because we are called to get to heaven. God calls us to our heavenly homeland. And when we do, when we get there, that's when we become saints. So we are called, each and every one of us, to be saints. So what does that look like? Does that mean that we have to be like St. Damien and St. Marianne? Well, not necessarily, but they are good examples of how we should be. All the saints that we know of are for us the example of what it takes to really become a great saint. So all of us in our sainthood journey, our journey to heaven, we look to the saints as examples for us on how to be, being mindful that, hey, this person did it, why can't I? So this weekend, take some time to reflect on the saints that are known and unknown. Ask them for help. And also reflect on your own life. And think about, how can I be a saint right now? And the answers are going to be different from each of you, because God gives you many different gifts. But what's most important is that we work towards sainthood while we're here on earth, so that we can achieve it once our time is up. As a quick bonus, we do only know a few of the saints that are in heaven, but there's quite a few of them that we do know. And most of them are patron saints of something. I think that every Catholic should have at least one favorite saint. And if you don't have one, maybe a little project for you would be to find one. Do a little research, do a little digging, patron saint of this or that, whatever you like as a hobby, or your favorite place, or your favorite country, or your favorite this, that, and the other. Find who the patron saint of that is and read up on them. See if they would make a good favorite saint for you, an example for you to follow. If you have a favorite job or task or a favorite way that you engage in being a good Christian, look up saints that have done the same thing. Find some saints that you can see as examples for your own life and imitate their faith in the way that they lived. That's one of the many ways that all of us, every single one of us, can work towards our own becoming a saint. Because remember, sainthood just means that we get into heaven. So be a saint. And be a saint starting right now.